Hey friend, you aren't leaving your firm just to work nonstop and make less money.
You wanted freedom, fulfillment, and a practice that actually supports your life.
Welcome to Off the Clock, the podcast for lawyers and law firm owners who are ready to break up with the billable hour
and build a profitable, joyful, client-loving practice that loves you back.
We're Gwen Griggs
and Whitney Harper,
lawyers, law firm founders, and co-creators of Advos Pro.
Each episode, we share stories, strategies, and bold steps to help you stop surviving and start thriving on your own terms.
So let's get you off the clock and into a practice you're meant to build. Well, welcome to today's episode of Off the Clock. Today, this is a really great one. I keep saying that. I think I'm probably going to say that every time. But this one, we're talking about your law practice is a business. Spoiler alert. And by business, we really just mean it is a for-profit enterprise that needs to sustain itself. And so there is so much that can be learned from thinking of it like a business that sets goals and improves and iterates. And just living at the intersection of law and business. So Whitney, why don't you go a little deeper here and tell us, what does it really mean when we say your law firm is a business?
You know, it's so interesting, Gwen. I'll start here. You mentioned you're a for-profit enterprise. And I would just back up a step even from that and say, I don't care if you're in a not-for-profit as a lawyer.
True. It's a true.
If you are a lawyer in someone else's law firm, in a big shop or a small shop, whether you own the law firm or you're working in someone else's, or you are general counsel in a business or in-house or whatever it's doing, if you that operating in kind of the lawyer capacity and you're taking a paycheck, you're part of a business. Like that is what it is. And I think it's like sadly sort of shocking to lawyers because we talk about what we do in terms of the practice of law.
And the profession, right?
Yes.
It's a profession,
yes.
Right? So,
and I think that happens for doctors too, where we talk about it as a profession, as a practice, and there's this sort of veneration for the professional aspect of it, which is great. I love that aspect too, but it somehow makes it like gauche to talk about the fact that you're in a business and you're running a business. And to some degree, you're the widget in your business, but you also are the CEO of that business. Even if you're in someone else's firm, you're the CEO of the business that is your own practice and your own results.
Yeah, we see that with some of the clients in the Advos Pro world who are with those very large firms.
Yeah,
partners in a really large firm, but they really have their own practice, and so it's thinking more broadly than just hours, right? And and as an associate, really the thing you're thinking a lot about is hours. But if you can understand the bigger picture, that it is a business and there's so much that can be learned from business concepts, then you're going to build a better practice.
Right. So you think about, what is a business? Well, a business offers a product or service to the market, to people who want to buy it. Those people buy it and you produce it. And hopefully the revenue you get from them buying it exceeds the cost you have in producing it, and you turn a profit. And even if you're a nonprofit, hopefully your revenues exceed your costs, and so you can do more of what you do. But that concept, like that's the very bare bones of it. And like, hey, lawyers, it's okay to think about profitability and to engineer your firm to deliver both better results for your clients and for you and your team, and better profits. Like, both of those things can be true, and it's not unethical. It's not, rude, gauche, like, you pick your word. I think we have this kind of funny mental game that we play or that has been played on us. I don't know which way, but
Mhm.
that lawyers just don't feel comfortable thinking about building a business that is their law practice. And we have, as a profession, we've got to get over that quick, right?
Well,
Uh,
and there's so many, like when I think about all of the, there's so many business books that help improve the customer experience, that help improve the team experience, that help create a great culture, right?
yeah,
There are all sorts of resources that can be tapped into to to create a more profitable law firm, but also a more profitable business, right?
yeah,
If you have less turnover, right? If you're putting in practices, proven ways to reduce your turnover, then you're going to have a better firm. Your clients are going to have more consistency with who you're talking to. You're going to have less onboarding time because you're not constantly on. Like there's this ripple effect when you
yeah,
say, I am going to run this business like a business, understanding that there are professional obligations and you know there's more to it than that, like not discounting any of that. But and truly one of my very favorite books on this topic is Profit First.
yeah. That's a
And,
great one.
and even in the business world, people talk a lot about revenue, and we just have so many funny stories and cliches of revenue is vanity and profit is sanity. And
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
Whitney has a favorite one there too. The
Yeah.
cat named
Well, yeah. We years ago heard this and it stuck, man. It stuck. You hear like cash is king, but the follow on to that is cash ain't cash till it's cash, right? Like cash is king, but the billed revenue until it is collected is meaningless.
Right,
And
that's where the
that one,
whips and the
yeah,
hours and all of those things, like, are nonsensical metrics.
absolutely. Well, and Gwen, your experience of kind of the people who talk a big game about their top line revenue, but when it comes down to it, what really matters is the bottom line. You want to talk about that one?
Well, and I think both of us have seen, we represent high growth companies. We have seen the entire, spectrum, all of those a lot of the companies that are listed on Fastest 50 or Fastest Growing or Inc. 500, they're focused on revenue. And we have seen businesses with $100 million in revenue generating $1 million in profit. And we've seen businesses that are 6 million revenue generating $1 million in profit. And
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but there's one of these that I would rather be responsible for than the other. Um,
absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
All of the risk and the liability and the employees and the insurance, like just everything is exponentially more risky
Hmm.
in the larger business. So if you start thinking, profit first, then build around that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the other one kind of that goes along with that, like why do you want profit first? That's because this one is so true. Revenue feeds your ego, profit feeds your family, right? Like when you
Yes.
really think about why am I why am I in this business? Why am I doing what I do? Yes, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of altruism in it and the professional pride and serving your community and making an impact. But if none of that pays the grocery bill, we have a problem. Right? We have a real problem. And I think there are too many lawyers out there who are sort of accepting a business that's barely feeding them and not stepping back and taking a hard look at either where can I be thinking differently about my expenses and building in some efficiencies and thinking about technology that can let me deliver more quickly, more efficiently, more effectively, even at higher quality while I maintain my revenue, or they're not thinking about pricing in an explicit way, right? They're just sort of haphazardly, yes, I'll do the work you've asked me to do. It takes as long as it takes. I'll bill you for it, but they're not really thinking about what they could be, how they could be pricing that work in a way that they could communicate to the client the value and get paid probably better for the work they're doing than they're getting paid on an hourly basis and have some certainty around what their revenue and their profit are going to look like, that's worlds better than what you get in sort of that traditional hourly billing model. And that's really the business thinking, right? That's the that ability to sit and think about the structure of your business, the design of your business, and what results you want it to generate. We talk about all the time. My old friend Hal Resnick and his example of, your business is a machine that is designed to give you the results you're getting today. And if you don't like those results, you've got to go redesign the machine. You have an engineering problem.
That
And
one always gets me. Always gets me.
yeah,
Like as soon as you're ready to complain about anything, understand it's what you built.
yes, right.
Exactly. You designed it exactly that way.
Yeah. And also I think there's some freedom in understanding that it's not a personal judgment. The fact that your firm isn't today delivering what you want it to deliver doesn't mean like you failed. It doesn't mean you're terrible. It means we have an engineering problem. And so now your job as the CEO is to go think about the design and what can we do to adjust that design so that we get more of what we want and less of what we don't. And that is, it's such a powerful question. It's such a powerful reframe, but it requires that we take the time to think about the business, to acknowledge it's a business and to think about it and to be the CEO.
Well, and to cut through so much noise. I mean, I really do think one of
Yes.
the biggest challenges as an owner of a law firm is I think I can probably speak for everyone. We get so many LinkedIn messages from people who think they can answer our questions about fill in the blank.
Yep.
And they have the answers and they know how to do it. But until you as the CEO decide, this is the kind of client I want, this is how I've gotten those clients, and make decisions about running the overall business, we just jump from shiny object to shiny object, right? And shallow thinking, or thinking that would apply in some other practice area, but it may be perfect in another practice area, but it might not be perfect in yours. And it is hard to get that critical thinking because we are so inundated with so much information in a world like today, which is why profit first is such a great, it's like, what do I want to pay myself at the very core?
Let's
right?
start there.
And then let's build the structure, right? Design the
Mhm.
structure like you were talking about. Let's design the structure that is going to incrementally do it. And one of the other models that we really like is that sort of lean startup and lean thinking. And you're not trying to
Yeah.
solve everything, and you don't have to solve everything. You don't have to automate everything, right? Like pick up your head, look holistically at the business, and make a decision that this is what I'm going to focus on for an extended period of time. It's not that this month I'm going to talk about operations, and then I'm going to talk about, onboarding of new people and onboarding new clients. Like if you're just going around, thing to thing, it makes it really hard to create the sustainable growth that's going to give you the profits that you really want in your firm.
Yeah. One of the powerful things we've done in our business, which I know also probably drives you a little bit crazy, is the issues list. Being willing to have a place where you can put all those issues and let them percolate, and then having a regular cadence for deciding which of these issues is actually the one I'm going to work on right now, and picking one,
Yeah.
and understanding that there are constraints and constraints are healthy and helpful. And so, picking one and acknowledging like these other things also need work, and it's okay because I'm going to work on this thing right now. And then we'll come back and we'll evaluate again. And, but here's the period of time where I'm going to work on this one. Some people call them big rocks or, strategic priorities. We call them bricks because of our brick branding. But however you want to talk about it, I think that exercise of what is it I'm going to focus on and make some impact on. And you don't have to fix it fully. It can be, I'm just going to make it a little bit better. And that incremental progress, let that incremental progress work for you, and build on it at each cycle so that you can keep the wheels on the business, right? You don't have to disrupt your whole business and take all of your time to go fix something. You can do it in little bites. But that having an issues list, knowing you're capturing the things, they're not just, I'm not doing it now and so it's lost, but having a place where you can capture it, and a cycle, a process where you're coming back regularly and revisiting, um, is
But
really powerful.
and I think too, on a at least a quarterly basis, doing something like our Promance scorecard, something that is
Yes.
going to let you look holistically at the business. I think that's one of the greatest tools. Um, Look holistically at the business and not just responding to yesterday I was annoyed by blank, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
show up at strategic planning and I am very much feeling the pain of whatever might have happened this week. And if I then set my goals based on that example, we're not looking holistically at, is that really the right problem to solve? And I think the accountability that we have as partners and owners of this business to, right, show back up and say, you said you were going to do the thing. We all agreed that was the thing we're going to do in that
Mm-hmm.
quarter. Now you're showing up, and have you done it? Is how we can look back and see, like when we look back in our system at the way we did things in 2015, it's unrecognizable, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we iterate and we iterate and we have a problem and we solve it. And we can do that, like you're saying, like, along the way. And it's never like we're going to put a task force together and we're going to solve this. And then we're done. We never have to
We
look at
never talk about that issue
systems
again.
again, right? We're going to put those
Right.
systems on shelf, right?
Yeah. No, and it's interesting too to think about it in this way. When we look back at what we were doing in 2015, we weren't wrong. We were doing the best we knew, and we've learned more both from our experience, right? What did we think was going to be the right answer, and how did that work? And from other people around us, and technologies have changed, and all sorts of things have iterated at the same time that we were, and so being like taking some pride in how far you've come, and also not feeling like you have to be like, oh my gosh, it was terrible then, right? It's there's such like it's such a confidence boost, I think, when you can look back and see that, and also acknowledge that like you've done your best all the way along, and as you learn more, you do more. um and I think you mentioned too, Gwen, the accountability we've had as partners. And it's worth just saying, if you're a solo out there and you don't have a partner, or you just like, maybe you're a lawyer in a bigger firm and so you are trying to figure this out for yourself in your own silo, um, finding someone to be able to talk about how you're doing, what are you going to work on, hey, check in with me, like let's check in with each other periodically, like let's have an every 2 week coffee date or whatever. Like there is so much power in that accountability, even if it's not somebody you report to, right? Or who you have a partnership with, but just somebody who you're going to need to show up and say, honestly, did I or didn't I? What's challenging me? Can you be a thought partner with me about this thing? Like that's
That
really,
is such
really
great
impactful.
advice. Really
And we
such.
do that with our clients in Advos Pro. And I think that's one of the most powerful aspects of the work we do there. But it doesn't have to be us, right? You can find somebody.
Right.
And really important to have that, I think.
Yeah. To get it on so many levels, right? It is pick your head up and think about, what is it that I need to work on? What do I think is really, what is the thing
Mhm.
that if I do it now, it's going to have the biggest impact? Um, like defining what that is and then committing to do it. And then sometimes, halfway through, the world has changed, things have changed, and you might say, that's not my goal anymore. But there's now, if you have someone you're accountable to, there's some explanation that you're going to think through, like, I am intentionally making the decision that because of these things that have happened, that thing that I thought was going to be the right one is not. One of
Yeah.
the other parts of our ethos, and the thing that we do that I appreciate so much, is hitting 80% of your goals is right. If you hit
Yes.
100% of your goals, you're standing too close to the target, right? And there's no moral judgment that says you have to get 100%. So it makes you push a little bit harder, because you're not expecting 100%. You're going to be pleased with, we got 80%, good work. and
Yes.
and again, having someone to remind you, because I think all of us as lawyers, we were built to
All
be
or nothing.
competitive,
Yes.
right? And so when we don't get it, we're going to flail ourselves, and having someone go, remember we were trying to get 80, and look, we're right at 80. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That actually is the goal. But
Absolutely.
powerful reminders.
Yes, it is.
If you're going to pick one thing for someone to do who hasn't been running their business or has been running their practice and wants to move toward running it like a business, what would you suggest they do?
Oh, this is my favorite little trick. It's carving out CEO time. So if you try to say to yourself, I'm going to start thinking about what I can do to change this business or improve it or whatever, but you don't actually put time on the calendar to do that, every client project, like your month-end billing, your anything else will get that time because you already know how to do those things and you already have some kind of history and muscle memory around doing those things. And this is, if it's new to you, I think the most important thing is to carve out a couple hours a week, maybe even just an hour a week, but carve out some time to be not in the place where you do your client work. Right? Go to a coffee shop, sit in your kitchen, whatever it is, but be someplace other than where your team and your clients typically get you. And be willing to just sit and think. Right? Let that be time for you to think about your business and let it come to you. What is it that you want to do, want to change, whatever. But I think that is critical. And it's really the starting point for being able to take action on all the other stuff that we talked about today. How about you? Anything that you would do?
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate that same thing. One of the books I read recently talked about taking an hour on Friday and then just every week increasing it an hour on Friday, then 2 hours and 3 hours,
Genius.
right? And over time, right, having a much bigger chunk, but it has to start somewhere. It has to start with one thing. And what you described of being in a different place, the power of I think we get almost addicted to being the hero, to the emails coming in, to the dopamine and the new information. And
yeah, you can take the almost off that. We are addicted. Straight up addicted.
As a profession.
Yeah.
And so it takes some strength to say, I'm going to do this differently. I'm not going to do it. I'm not just going to have a repeat every single week. I'm going to carve out that time and make use of it to work on what's important, not just what's urgent.
Yeah.
And that, without that, then, all the other things become sort of nice to have, right? The other things we've talked about, right? Reading the book, Profit First, whatever, or taking the Promance scorecard. Like if you take it and then don't have the time to think about what am I going to do with it, right? You're not making the most of it. So yeah, I agree.
Well, go get some CEO time if you're listening to this, and can't wait to see and hear how that impact improves your business and your outcomes for you and your clients.
Awesome.
What a fun conversation, Gwen. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Off the Clock. If you're ready to design a law practice that's profitable, joyful, and built around your life, not just your clients,
come check out The Path to Promance and take the Promance Scorecard at advospro.com.
And if this episode spoke to you, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another lawyer who needs to hear it.
You deserve a practice that loves you back. Let's build it together.